Hi there and welcome. Ever start to think about, the hidden safety nets all around us and
Right.
the places we work, travel through, even our homes? I'm talking about fire suppression systems. They're this critical, often invisible infrastructure just uh, standing guard, silent guardians, really. Today, we're doing a deep dive into this vital industry, and it's growing surprisingly fast. We've got a market analysis here that gives us the inside track. Our mission to cut through the complex data and give you a clear picture of where this market is heading globally and well, where the real hotspots are. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's actually fascinating, isn't it, how fundamental these systems are. It goes way beyond just the smoke alarm on your ceiling. When we say fire suppression, we mean technologies designed to, well, detect fires, control them, and put them out automatically. And it's not just the sprinkles you might picture. There's a whole range. Gas suppression systems, for example. Those are crucial, where water would cause huge damage to data centers, archives. They work by reducing oxygen or interrupting the fire chemically. Then you've got foam extinguishers, really important for things like flammable liquid fires. So the applications are incredibly broad: commercial buildings, industrial plants, even residential. They protect property and, of course, people.
And the numbers really tell a story here. It's not just steady growth, it feels more like a surge. Here's where it gets really interesting, the sheer scale we're talking about. Back in 2021, global sales were already significant, about $18.2 billion. But look ahead. The projection for 2025 is over $22.2 billion. And then, by 2033, a massive $33.1 billion worldwide. That's almost doubling in just over a decade. It reflects a really strong compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 5.1% between 2025 and 2033. So, yeah, over 5% growth year after year. That signals sustained strong demand.
Right. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, you can really see how global development and safety standards are moving together. This kind of explosive growth doesn't just happen. Key drivers are behind it. A big one is increased urbanization. More people in cities means more buildings, more infrastructure, all needing better safety. Then there's the push for stricter fire safety regulations globally. Governments, industries are prioritizing protection, putting new codes in place, and of course technology doesn't stand still. Advancements in detection and the suppression methods themselves make these systems more effective, more accessible. We're seeing things like AI in detection, predictive tech, even robotic systems that make suppression smarter, faster. That fuels demand too.
Okay, let's zoom in a bit. How about we start with North America? It seems to be holding a, well, steady flame in terms of growth. The numbers show the region going from about $6.4 billion in 2021, projected to hit almost $7.7 billion by 2025, and then a pretty substantial $11.1 billion by 2033. That works out to a compound annual growth rate of just under 4.72%. Healthy, definitely. But there's an interesting story within the region, right?
Exactly. The U.S., no surprise, holds the largest share. It went from over $5.3 billion in 2021 and is projected to reach nearly $9 billion by 2033. That's a CGR of about 4.46%. Solid growth. But the real eye catcher, maybe, is Canada. Canada is showing notably stronger growth percentage-wise. It's projected to more than double from around $884 million in 2021 to over $1.8 billion by 2033. That gives it a higher CGR, almost 6.4%.
Huh, interesting. So faster growth rate than the US, even if the total market's smaller. Any thoughts on why?
Could be several things, maybe more aggressive updates to building codes recently, or perhaps significant new infrastructure projects driving demand. And Mexico, while starting from a smaller base, is also seeing steady growth, from just over $200 million in 2021 up to around $300 million projected for 2033.
Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe's also showing what you called a consistent burn, a big contributor to the global picture. Europe's overall revenue was around $5.2 billion back in 2021. That's projected to climb past $6.2 billion by 2025 and hit nearly $9 billion by 2033. The average annual growth rate there is nearly 4.6%, but it varies quite a bit country by country, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Within Europe, Germany is the heavyweight. It's projected to grow from just under $1 billion in 2021 to over $1.6 billion by 2033. France is also significant, about $760 million, growing to over $1.3 billion. But where we see some particularly dynamic growth rates is in Italy and Russia. Italy is set to jump from about $541 million to nearly $1 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR over 5.1%. And Russia, starting around $494 million, is projected to almost double to over $950 million, with a strong CAGR of over 5.6%.
Wow, so Russia and Italy are really picking up pace there.
Seems like it. Could signal specific investment pushes or maybe faster adoption of newer standards in those countries. The UK, still a major market, shows more mature growth, around 3.9% CAGR, moving from $687 million to just over $1 billion. And you've got others like Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg, all showing steady, consistent growth. They definitely add up. In fact, the category labeled Rest of Europe is quite large itself, projected to grow from $3.8 billion in 2021 to over $10.4 billion by 2033.
Okay, now, if we're talking blazing acceleration, we have to turn to Asia Pacific. This region has the highest regional CGR in the analysis, almost 5.9%. That's quite something. The overall market size was about $4.3 billion in 2021, grew to nearly $5.5 billion in 2025, and is projected to hit an impressive $8.6 billion by 2033. But one country in particular really stands out here, right?
You're absolutely right. The growth across APAC is remarkable. China, unsurprisingly, leads in size. It's set to almost double its market from nearly $1.5 billion in 2021 to almost $2.9 billion by 2033. Japan's also a major player, growing from $761 million to nearly $1.4 billion. But India's growth is truly standout. It has the highest individual country CAGR in the whole analysis.
Really? What's the number?
An incredible 7.7%, nearly 7.7% compound annual growth. India is projected to more than double its market, leaping from $678 million in 2021 to over $1.6 billion by 2033.
Wow, that clearly signals massive development.
Exactly. Rapid urbanization, huge industrial expansion, probably coupled with newer or maybe more aggressively adopted safety codes compared to some older markets. There are other high-growth areas, too. South Korea, Australia, and Singapore has a compelling CAGR over 6.6%. Singapore is projected to go from about $171 million to $370 million by 2033. Taiwan and the broader Southeast Asia region are also contributing significantly to this regional firestorm of growth.
Okay, expanding the view again, we're seeing emerging heat, as the analysis calls it, in South America, the Middle East, and Africa, too. They're all part of this global trend. South America as a whole looks set to almost double its market size. It goes from just over $1 billion in 2021 to nearly $2 billion by 2033. That's a strong CAGR of over 5.7%.
And within South America, Brazil leads in market size $434 million, up to over $850 million projected for 2033. But look at Argentina and Colombia, even faster growth rates percentage-wise. Argentina is projected to jump from $196 million to over $427 million. That's a CAGR nearing 6.7%. And Colombia from $138 million to over $286 million. Peru and Chile are adding to that regional growth as well.
And the Middle East, also showing really robust expansion, from about $546 million in 2021, growing to over $1.1 billion by 2033. That's a strong PGR again, over 6.2%. What's fueling that specifically?
Well, that's tied directly to the huge infrastructure investments happening across the Middle East. Think Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt. They're all key players here. They're rapidly building new cities, commercial centers, industrial zones, all requiring the latest safety systems. Just look at the numbers. Saudi Arabia projected to grow from $166 million to over $340 million by 2033. The UAE from $86 million to over $190 million. Egypt from $70 million to over $150 million. This commitment to modernization absolutely includes a heavy focus on fire safety compliance.
Right. And finally, Africa, also a significant part of the story. Its market is projected to rise from nearly $700 million in 2021 to over $1.2 billion by 2033. Nations like Nigeria and South Africa are mentioned as playing key roles there. It really paints a picture of global shifts.
It absolutely does. And this raises an important question, doesn't it? What do these patterns really tell us about, well, global development priorities and how we manage risk? The steady, strong expansion across South America, the Middle East, and Africa isn't just about dollars and cents. It's a direct reflection of growing investment in infrastructure, yes, but also increasing compliance with safety standards in these emerging economies. As these regions build up, urbanize, industrialize, the demand for advanced safety measures like fire suppression just naturally follows suit. It signifies a global trend towards building safer communities.
So what does this all mean for you listening in? Well, we've just walked through how the global fire suppression market isn't just ticking along, it's experiencing immense, consistent growth everywhere. And it's not just abstract numbers, it connects directly to more buildings going up, stricter safety rules, and better technology worldwide. When you see these huge figures, billions being invested, it underscores this foundational, often unseen commitment to keeping things safe. It's a core part of global development now. It really is a quiet sign of a world trying to build itself safer, one building, one system at a time.
Exactly. And perhaps the real deep dive here, the thing to think about, is how these rising market numbers are like a hidden indicator. They show a world that's actively building safer, more resilient places to live and work. It points to a fundamental shift in how societies protect assets, protect people, especially as they grow and urbanize. It reflects a proactive stance on risk that ultimately impacts all of us.
Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex topics, stacks of info really, and boil it down for you. Today, we're kind of turning up the heat. We're diving into a market that's, well, it's absolutely booming. Fire suppression systems. Now, fire safety, obviously, always crucial, but the demand now, it's for advanced, smart, and yes, eco-friendly systems. That demand has just exploded. So our mission today is to unpack what's really fueling this growth, look at some frankly surprising innovations, talk about the challenges too, they're always there, and see where this vital industry is heading. Think of this as your quick way to get up to speed, whether you've got a meeting coming up or you're just, well, curious like us.
Absolutely. And understanding the why behind it all is so important. It's really moved beyond just, putting out fires.
That's a great way to put it. A paradigm shift. You said
Exactly. We're shifting from just reacting to fires to this whole proactive predictive safety intelligence idea. Buildings almost becoming self-aware of risk. That's the core change.
Okay, let's unpack this then. From your view, what are the most powerful forces pushing the market forward right now? Especially thinking about that proactive angle.
Well, one of the biggest drivers, no question, is stricter fire safety regulations. Standards are getting tougher globally. And governments are really tightening the rules. They're making these advanced systems mandatory, not just in the usual places like commercial or industrial buildings,
Right.
but more and more in residential spaces too, apartment complexes, things like that.
So it's not just about ticking a box for compliance anymore.
Not at all. It's a real shift towards proactive safety. Like, take Siemens AG, for example.
Okay.
They recently launched these digital fire safety services.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is how they connect systems straight to the cloud.
The cloud.
Yeah, for real-time monitoring, proactive alerts. And they integrate fully into the bigger building management platforms.
So the building itself kind of knows what's happening.
Precisely. It's moving way beyond just extinguishing fires. It's about intelligently preventing them, or at least managing them much, much earlier. It's the future, really.
Preventing and managing intelligently. Okay. And it's not only regulations heating things up, is it? The technology itself is moving so fast. That seems like a huge driver, too.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, innovations in detection, these eco-friendly suppression agents we hear about,
Yeah.
automation, it's really impressive. Systems used to be so bulky, right? And manual. Now they seem intelligent, responsive, sometimes even self-maintaining.
That evolution is critical,
Hmm.
especially, in certain environments.
Like where specifically?
Well, think about data centers.
Yeah.
Massive server farms.
Right. You wouldn't want sprinklers going off in there.
Exactly. Traditional water systems, that would be catastrophic. Ruin everything.
Yeah.
All that valuable equipment, the data.
Yeah.
So that's where things like clean agents came in. They suppress the fire chemically, but without damaging sensitive electronics or archives.
Okay, clean agents.
And water mist systems, too. They use very fine mist to cool the fire and reduce oxygen, but with minimal water, minimal residue.
So they solve that problem. How do you protect the assets without the suppression method causing its own damage?
Precisely. And this ties into the Internet of Things, IoT.
Ah, IoT, of course.
It played a massive role, really revolutionized emergency management because it allows for that real-time detection and even remote response.
So the IoT integration gives you the alert, the remote capability. What's the sort of next level of that? What's the cutting edge right now?
Well, the real power of IoT here isn't just the alert, it's the data, all the granular data it collects.
Okay.
This lets AI, artificial intelligence, start to learn fire patterns. It can even anticipate potential ignition points based on, say, unusual temperature changes or other environmental anomalies.
It's predictive.
Predictive, exactly. Turning prevention into almost a science. Think about a manufacturing plant. A sensor picks up a sudden, dangerous temperature spike in one specific zone. The system doesn't flood the whole place. It automatically triggers suppression just in that zone.
Targeted.
Very targeted. And at the same time, it's notifying the building managers, maybe the fire department, through a cloud platform.
Wow.
This kind of automation is proving invaluable. It saves lives, definitely, but also massively reduces damage and downtime across loads of industries.
That level of automation, that prediction,
Yeah.
it is genuinely remarkable. But like we said, no market's without its challenges. It can't be all smooth sailing. What are some of the big obstacles this industry faces?
That's a really important question. A significant restraint, and it's a complex one, is system integration.
Integration, you mean getting new systems into old buildings?
Exactly. Retrofitting older buildings with these advanced fire suppression systems, it's not simple, not at all. You're often looking at major structural upgrades, maybe significant plumbing changes, definitely complex rewiring.
Right. Sounds expensive.
It absolutely adds cost and complexity, lots of complexity.
So beyond the actual physical work, the headaches of construction,
Hmm.
what does that mean for, say, a business trying to upgrade? What are the practical issues?
Well, you also run into compatibility problems pretty often.
Ah.
Getting the new fire suppression system to talk nicely with the building's existing systems, like the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, the HVAC,
Okay.
or the lighting controls, the security alarms. Everything needs to interface seamlessly.
That sounds like it needs serious technical know-how.
It really does.
Huh.
Significant technical expertise is required. And that can be a major hurdle for some organizations, definitely.
And the cost factor you mentioned.
Yeah, the cost is a big one, especially for maybe small to medium-sized businesses, or perhaps historic buildings where preservation is also a concern.
Right.
We're talking a big capital investment. And sometimes that upfront cost can seem to outweigh the immediate perceived risk, even though the long-term benefits are huge.
Makes sense.
And one more thing, sometimes there's just a shortage of the skilled technicians needed, people who can properly design, install, and then maintain these increasingly complex integrated systems.
Those are definitely real-world challenges. But okay, looking past those hurdles, where are the big opportunities opening up? What are the key trends really reshaping where this market is going?
Well, the continued rise of those IoT-enabled smart fire suppression systems is definitely a huge trend, maybe the key trend.
The predictive ones we talk about.
Exactly. They aren't just sitting there waiting for a fire. They are predictive, they're proactive, and they're largely automated.
Yeah.
Using that whole network of sensors, real-time data, AI analytics, they spot hazards and can trigger suppression, often without any human needing to step in.
So it's really shifting towards intelligent prevention.
That's it. That's where the market is fundamentally heading. Intelligent, integrated prevention.
And tied into that intelligence, there's also this growing demand for environmentally friendly systems, right?
Yes, very much so.
I mean, many of us remember the older systems, like those using halon gas, phased out years ago because it was bad for the ozone layer.
That's right. A major environmental concern. And the industry had to adapt.
So how did it adapt? What are the alternatives now?
Well, that pushed development towards things like inert gas systems.
Inert gas, how does that work?
They basically work by rapidly reducing the oxygen level in the protected space, essentially suffocating the fire. But they're safe for occupied areas when designed correctly. And then there are the newer clean agents we mentioned, which extinguish chemically without leaving residue, plus those low residue options like water mist.
All designed to be safer.
Safer for people and safer for the planet. That's a
Yeah.
critical factor now. And their importance really gets magnified in sensitive places.
Like the data centers again?
Data centers, yes, but also archives, museums, libraries, hospital operating rooms,
Places where water damage would be almost as bad as fire damage.
or maybe even worse, depending on what you're protecting. Irreplaceable artifacts,
Yeah.
critical data. You need suppression that won't destroy the very things you're trying to save.
Makes perfect sense. So looking ahead, you see huge opportunities then, especially with cities growing so fast and smart building tech becoming common.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Urbanization is a massive driver.
All these new buildings.
Exactly. Modern residential towers, sprawling commercial complexes, advanced industrial facilities, they all need sophisticated fire protection built in from the start.
And we're not just talking basic sprinklers here, are we?
No, not at all. We're seeing network sensors everywhere, wireless alerts, remote access fire suppression controls, all being designed directly into the blueprints of these new smart buildings.
Integrated from day one.
Right. And combine that rapid city growth with big infrastructure projects in healthcare, tech, hospitality, transportation. It's driving enormous investment in the latest fire safety solutions.
So with all this activity, this investment, what about the big companies, the major players? What are their strategic moves? Who's really leading the charge?
Well, you've got the established giants like Siemens, Honeywell, Johnson Controls, Bosch.
Familiar names.
Right. And they're heavily focused on R&D. They're really pushing hard on cloud connectivity, more advanced control panels, integrating AI. Like we mentioned Siemens Fire Safety Digital Services earlier. That was January 2023, connecting everything to the cloud for total protection.
Okay.
And Honeywell, not long after, launched something called Morley Max. It's a smart fire detection and alarm system, but designed specifically to be easier to install, operate, and scale up or down.
So they're focusing on intelligence but also usability.
Exactly. They recognize the future isn't just powerful tech, it's integrated, intelligent platforms that are also practical to deploy and manage.
And presumably, this creates pretty intense competition. It's not just the big guys.
Oh, definitely. The competition is fierce. And you're seeing newer, maybe more specialized players making waves too. Companies like Fight Corporation, Minimax, Hochiki, Halma, even Raytheon Technologies through their subsidiaries.
Bringing fresh ideas.
Fresh perspectives, new capabilities. It's really pushing the whole market forward, making fire suppression not just safer, but genuinely smarter.
Well, that seems like a perfect place to wrap up this deep dive. The core takeaway, it feels like, is crystal clear. Fire suppression. It's not just about emergency response anymore. It's really shifted to intelligent, integrated prevention. And technology, urbanization, they're constantly reshaping these protective systems, moving from just fighting fires to, as you said, predictive safety intelligence.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for listeners to consider. As our homes, our workplaces become more and more smart, more interconnected, in what unexpected ways might these intelligent fire suppression systems start to weave into our daily lives? Moving beyond just big buildings to perhaps more personal, more protective applications we haven't even thought of yet. Something to mull over.
A fascinating question. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.